Hour number 2 already on today's Kev Baker Show. I hope you really enjoyed that first hour of the show there. A real buzz about the place, and that's thanks to all of you out there tuned in live right here on tfrlive.com. Truth Frequency Radio, where silence is consent. And I emphasise the where part because Joe Joseph gave me a slap across the knuckles one time for not saying it right. And talking of the derailer himself, the master derailer, Joe Joseph, welcome back to the Kev Baker Show. How you doing, man? And Joe Joseph is still away getting his cup of coffee and doing his best to derail me again.
Lies.
You see, you can't do it, Joe. I just take it all in my tiny little hobbit-like stride. How you doing, man?
I tried to derail you, but you're getting too good at this.
Yes, Popeye has been giving me some behind-the-scenes tutelage.
Behind-the-scenes derailment?
No, well, no, not at all. In fact, I'm lying. I'm just making it up now. It's all my own doing. I've sussed it. It's only taken me about 4 years to get there, dude. But how you doing, man?
I'm doing okay, man. Just been a busy day and glad it's time to wind down.
Well, you wind down with your coffee, right? Because I've got some positive news here. I hope it's positive anyway.
What's that?
Because
was it the news that Mr. Geo gave me earlier? Is that what you're going to put out or no?
No, and I love Mr. Geo and Mrs. Geo.
Me too.
And I still thank them profusely for giving me the opportunity to be here on the number one network. And networks like this in recent times, you know, we've been kind of worried. We've seen the whole censorship thing taking root and really going up the gears in recent times. And people have said, well, how do we fight back against this? How do we combat this? We see it on Facebook, we see it on Twitter, and more we see it on YouTube as well. And I came across a story today that I hope, and I say that very hopefully, it doesn't mean anything just yet, but I'll get your thoughts on this as well, Joe. And this comes from the website hawley.senate.gov, and this is Josh Hawley, and he's a U.S. Senator for
Missouri.
And the headline reads, Senator Hawley introduces legislation to amend Section 230 immunity for big tech companies. So it says, today U.S. Senator Josh Hawley introduced the Ending Support for Internet Censorship Act, a major update to the way big tech companies are treated under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. Senator Hawley's legislation removes the immunity big tech companies receive under Section 230 unless they submit to an external audit that proves by clear and convincing evidence that their algorithms and content removal practices are politically neutral. Senator Hawley's legislation does not apply to small and medium-sized tech companies. Now, Joe, I'm going to stop there because that's really encouraging, because that gives the smaller companies, the ones who are up and coming and want to provide an alternative, that gives them the chance to get there before they come under this new bill. It says, quote, with Section 230, tech companies get a sweetheart deal that no other industry enjoys. Complete exemption from traditional publisher liability in exchange for providing a forum free of political censorship, said Senator Hawley. Quote, unfortunately and unsurprisingly, big tech has failed to uphold its end of the bargain. There's a growing list of evidence that shows big tech companies making editorial decisions to censor viewpoints they disagree with. Even worse, the entire process is shrouded in secrecy because these companies refuse to make their protocols public. This legislation simply states that if the tech giants want to keep their government-granted immunity, they must bring transparency and accountability to their editorial processes and prove that they don't discriminate. There's a bit more to come there, but what do you think of that so far? Well,
Yeah, so
Joe.
far so good. The problem is the lobby that the big tech has is so powerful that I don't know if you're going to see it pass. You know, there's a similar bill being circulated in the House of Representatives about prescription prices and reining that in because these big pharma, but also the health insurance providers are colluding with each other to charge more for medicine. And so there's been some legislation tossed around. And of course, the lobby for big pharma has gone full action into this. And, of course, people are starting to, well, I can't possibly support this, blah, 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 unless there's changes. And it'll get watered down. And I have a feeling that that this bill here would get watered down. That the lobby themselves it's very powerful, Kev, and I just don't see it happening. I just don't.
Well, let's take
we
a
don't
look
have
at
that kind of representation in Washington.
Let's take a look at what it does propose, right? It says number 1, removes automatic immunity under Section 230 for big tech companies, gives big tech companies the ability to earn immunity through external audits. And it says big tech companies would have to prove to the FTC by clear and convincing evidence that their algorithms and content removal practices are politically neutral. The FTC could not certify big tech companies for immunity except by a super majority vote. Big tech companies would be responsible for the cost of conducting these audits. Big tech companies would have to reapply for immunity every 2 years. And then it says it preserves existing immunity for small and medium-sized companies, which I think is a great idea. The bill applies only to companies with more than 30 million active monthly users in the US and more than 300 million active monthly users worldwide, or who have more than $500 million in global annual revenue. And again, like I say, none of this means anything yet. And as Joe rightly pointed out, whether it gets anywhere is another thing altogether. But the fact that they've put that provision in there, Joe, this Senator Hawley, for the smaller companies to get a leg up, that's really encouraging, dude, because the regulation that I see coming in the near term will probably be enough to kill off any competition that's up and coming, because they won't be able to afford the kind of stuff that will be put in place, say upload filters, all the other things that they might kind of make companies kind of do to adhere to these regulations. It's going to absolutely take out all of the smaller players. At least this bill, and again, it doesn't mean anything, at least it gives them a chance, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, for sure, it appears on the surface that that's the case, but it's very early and anything can happen.